When I look back at the pictures I took throughout 2018 and 2019, I look happy, I look like I'm having a good time, and on the face of it, it seems like I had a pretty good year. But what you're seeing is a facade, a showy misrepresentation intended to conceal something unpleasant. You see, I graduated from university just a few months earlier. I moved from a small town in the UK to Amsterdam to work in the finance industry, and it didn't take me long to get a job, about 3 weeks, and I landed a 9-to-5 corporate job in finance. And at first it was actually okay. My colleagues were awesome, the job paid well, a lot of opportunities to progress up the ladder, and the city itself was incredible, almost magical. But there was something not quite right. I would wake up in the morning and have this sinking feeling in my stomach because I knew I had to get ready for work. And this feeling was most intense on Monday mornings, and it gradually eased as the week progressed. Until Friday came around, and of course on Friday I would always be looking forward to the weekend. It was hard work though. I would commute to work in the morning on the train while working on my side business. I was starting up an acrylic glass poster company at the time, so I'd work on my side business in the morning for an hour, then I'd work my 9-to-5 job, then at 6 PM when I arrived home, I'd spend another 4 hours or so working on my side business. But it got to a point where I was living for the weekends, and it was almost like a disease, having to live through 5 days of misery before I could actually live my life on Saturday and Sunday. I knew that as soon as I started living for the weekends and not actually enjoying what I'm doing, then it's time to change direction. And I'd watched enough Gary Vaynerchuk videos to know I knew at that point I had to get out.
I'm blown away by people celebrating the end of the week. It breaks my heart. My friends like live for Friday night. Like they know they get the week, like Monday morning's the worst.
So in May 2019, I handed in my notice. It was one of the most difficult decisions I had to make because it really was good money, a stable income. And what's weird was it wasn't even a bad job. It was this weird paradox where I actually kind of liked the job itself, but I just wasn't happy working there. And looking back, maybe it had something to do with freedom. At high school, where we had to attend school from 9 AM and couldn't leave until 3:30 PM, maybe in some ways I felt controlled, I felt trapped. Incidentally, high school was the last time that I had that sinking feeling on Sunday nights and Monday mornings, like I just didn't want the weekend to end. Monday mornings, getting out of bed and getting ready for the day was just awful, and I'm sure many of you can probably relate to that feeling. But interestingly, at university, I never had that problem, not even once, throughout the whole 3 years of my bachelor's. And maybe thinking about it, it's because I had more freedom. A lot of university was independent study, so we'd have maybe 2 or 3 hours of lectures a day, and then the rest of the day we were expected to study by ourselves independently. So I'd study at coffee shops, in the library, at home, at a friend's house. I would study pretty much everywhere, and I loved that freedom of being able to plan the day however I wanted, with just 2 or 3 lectures in the day that I had to attend. But what I did for the rest of the day was entirely up to me. And so working the 9-to-5 office job, I had this same feeling of being trapped, like I had very little control of my day. I had to wake up at a certain time, arrive at the office at a certain time, do specific tasks that were given to me, and it was just felt like someone else was pulling the strings over my own life. But then I was stuck with this dilemma where I really don't like giving up. I just keep going and going and keep fighting. And I obviously wasn't happy with this job, but at the same time, I felt like if I quit this job, I'm just giving up and not giving it a fair shot. So I kept going and I kept working there for a year, and eventually it happened. I decided to quit. So I left my corporate job and I made my side business, my acrylic glass poster business, my full-time job. And it was extremely difficult at first, living in Amsterdam, a relatively expensive city, with a side business that was barely even earning any money. It wasn't easy, and it took a good 6 months before things started picking up. But leaving the corporate world was one of the best decisions I ever made. I've never been so fulfilled with my work, and as cliche as it sounds, I wake up every morning actually excited to go to work. And throughout school, we've kind of been trained to work Monday to Friday and then have Saturday and Sundays as our day offs. But for me, I like more flexibility than that. So I'll work 7 days a week from Monday to Sunday, but some days I'll take it easy. I'll spend a bit more time hanging out one day, or maybe if I'm having a bad day or feeling more tired than normal, I'll take it easy that day. So I'm always working to some extent every day, but my work is integrated into my life because I love my work, I love what I do, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't feel like I need the weekend off to relax, because it's like, well, relax from what? Relax from doing something that I love? So not too long ago, I was reading a thread on Reddit, and it was titled, "How do you get out of bed every morning just to go to a job?" And honestly, it was incredibly depressing, but it represents how much of society views work. So the highest rated comment with 11,500 upvotes said, "Honestly, I think we've been taught to think a career job is supposed to be fulfilling, give you purpose and satisfaction, blah blah blah." Eventually you realize that's BS for 99% of the world and most of human history. A job just pays the bills. What you do outside of it is where most people find meaning. And I really can't articulate how much I disagree with this post. Work doesn't have to be something that makes you miserable. It's very simple. If you don't enjoy your job, then do something about it. You spend a third of your life working. Life is too short to waste it doing something you're not passionate about. And I really want to use this platform and the following that I've built up on Product Elon to get that message out there, because I think that it's so important. You don't have to continue doing something that you're not passionate about. And I understand you might have responsibilities, maybe you have kids, maybe you have your parents to support financially, or maybe younger siblings to support you, maybe you have a mortgage to pay every month. And I get it, money is important, money is what makes the world go round, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend anyone to just quit their job with no backup plan, but consider spending a couple of hours a night on a side hustle like I did. Consider pivoting your career, consider looking for a job that might be marginally more tolerable. I guess this whole video can be summed up in one sentence. If you're not happy, do something about it. When you're spending more than half your life working, it's important that what you're doing is on point. And I mentioned that in high school, I had an absolutely miserable time. I suffered massively from procrastination, I suffered from depression, my grades were terrible, I just didn't want to study at all. But I've lived both sides of the coin. After leaving high school, I studied and I researched exactly how high performance students are able to consistently perform at the highest level. What are they doing differently? What separates them from the rest of the class? And I implemented that knowledge on myself. I went to university and I graduated with a 4.0 GPA, and I've now made it my job to consolidate and teach that knowledge in my Transform Your Grades in 30 Days course. You can click on the link in the description, and I'm offering personal mentoring and guidance every step of your way through your 30-day challenge. So if you take me up on the offer to help you out and level up your studying, I look forward to working with you very shortly.